Hi, my name is Anna Chilton. I'm going to be doing a lesson plan for 6th grade ELAR. It's going to be on literary devices as found in song lyrics. This is a way to engage my students as well as using multiple genres from songs of modern day to keep them engaged. And then we're going to discuss how these literary devices are used and incorporated, and as well as the intention or purpose of the author. Normally in a real classroom setting, I would not be seated in a desk behind a chair behind a desk. Haha. Normally I would be standing up and I would be walking around the room in order to better facilitate my students. But for the purpose of this recording, I'm going to stay seated. So let's go ahead and begin. So class, go ahead and come on in, have a seat, pull out your journals, and I want you to look at the words on the board, a couple of simple sentences. I want you to just quickly analyze it and get some thoughts about it. Maybe what the meaning is, if you've seen these words before, where you might see them, and then we'll discuss them before our lesson today. So as the students come in, get situated and seated, they're looking at the words on the board, not knowing the purpose behind them. Then from there we would discuss them. And as you guys can see, the words on the board, is there someone that would like to read them? It says, just like a moth drawn to a flame, oh, you lured me in, I couldn't sense the pain. All right, does anybody have any idea where they might have seen these words? If they've seen them, where you might see them? I've got some of you that are saying it's probably from poem or story. We've discussed poems in detail a lot lately, haven't we? Now, you're all kind of right because it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of a poem and a little bit of a story. These are actually song lyrics from Shawn Mendes's song Stitches. So it's a song that you know, but when it's written down in word and you're not really paying attention to the melody behind you, it looks like a poem, right? Well, that's what songs are. They're poems or stories. They're kind of conveying something that the writer wants you to feel, right? What do you think he's trying to get you to feel based on these lyrics here? That's right. So like a moth drawn to a flame. If you think about a moth going to the light, it just can't help itself, right? It just is drawn right in and it just pulls right in. So he's expressing his love for this girl, right? And as a result, he just can't help but want to be with her. She's lured him in. Now, why wouldn't he just say, I really like you. I want to be with you all the time? Doesn't sound as interesting, right? So when we're writing, we're using our voice in a descriptive way to kind of engage the audience and excite them or to move them in some way, whether to scare them, to anger them, infuriate them. Okay, remember we're going to use some heightened words here, infuriate, really, really angry. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our lesson today. We're going to be reviewing figurative language. We're going to look at the language that we've used in the past, the words we've learned, what they mean. We're going to learn some new words we're going to add to our vocabulary, and then we're going to kind of analyze it, where we would see them, how we would use them, what the writer's intention would be. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and as a class, we're going to call out some of the words that we've discussed in the past, some figurative language. Can anyone remember a type of figurative language or literary device that we've used in the past? This is where we would then have an open conversation. We would discuss the words that were previously used, as well as give examples, basic definitions, to kind of reanalyze what we've already learned, reinstill it, and build upon that. We want to scaffold upon what we've already learned. So from there, we would then take all the words that we've learned, create a word list on the board, and then from there, we would build upon that. So currently, the class has learned metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, personification, alliteration, allusion, hyperbole, and irony. From there, I would also then revisit metaphor and simile. A lot of times students tend to confuse these since they're quite similar. We would discuss what would make them different and give examples, again, to kind of build upon what we know so that when we go into the next part of this lesson, they don't confuse anything. Okay, so this is then, guys, where we're going to just learn some new words. Okay, so we have the list behind us of all the words that we know. We understand the meanings behind them. Let's build on those. So the first word, I'm going to write it out so you know how it's spelled, and I want you to put this in your journal, okay, because we're adding to what our vocabulary already is, and I want to make sure you understand the meaning. The first word is oxymoron, and Now we're going to give a definition. Oxymoron is a self-contradicting word or group of words. Now that sounds kind of confusing, doesn't sound like it explains much to you at all. But first, contradicting. That means goes against. It doesn't make sense. It's opposite. Okay? So the example I'm going to give you, I want to make sure you put this in your journal, is jumbo shrimp. Okay? So let's think about that. Jumbo shrimp. Well, first of all, we know what jumbo is. What is jumbo? Yeah, right? It's huge, gigantic, massive. What is a shrimp? Shrimp, yeah, in the ocean. It's just a tiny little critter that lives in the ocean. If you compare it to anything else in the ocean, or for that matter, even a human, it's small. So how can a shrimp ever actually be jumbo? That doesn't make sense, right? They contradict each other. They go against each other. So when you say jumbo shrimp, we know what it means. Everybody knows what jumbo shrimp is. It just means it's really big in comparison to normal shrimp, but it's still not really jumbo, right? That's an oxymoron. We see the difference between that and irony, right? Irony, we understand it to be something opposite as well. However, irony is more of like a statement. And when you know the context, when you say when somebody says what their statement is, and it's completely opposite from that, that's irony. That's the difference. So I'm going to give you another example, and you can put this along with the other examples you have in your journal of irony. So let's think about it. If you walk outside and it's just pouring buckets, right? And all of a sudden somebody walks by and says, "Nice weather we're having, huh? Beautiful day." Well, that doesn't make sense. It's pouring buckets. It's irony, right? Okay. So think about that. Or if somebody says, "Are you having a good time today?" And they say, "Oh yeah, about as much fun as a root canal." Root canals aren't fun. So this is another example of irony. We understand the context. So the statement is meant to be an exaggerated form that's completely opposite of what they're saying, right? Okay, next word. We're going to write it on the board because it's really difficult to spell, and it's also difficult to say. Juxtaposition. You say that with me? Juxtaposition. Okay? This is an act or an instance when you place two items together, side by side, and it's a way of comparing and contrasting them. And the purpose of that is to give an interesting effect. You're trying to create an effect. Okay? So it's kind of like if I were to say, all's fair in love and war. We've all heard that, right? Love and war. Very opposite things, but we're trying to compare them. It's to give it an interesting effect, right? We're going to learn about that some more in our next part of the lesson, okay? So just write this down in your journal, and we're going to move on to the next word, okay? Next word, idiom. Idiom, okay? Idiom is a common phrase that's used, and it's to give a completely different meaning than what's said. It's usually done in popular culture. So the terms that might be idioms in our language won't necessarily be the same in another part of the world, okay? An example is, write this example down, is raining cats and dogs. Raining cats and dogs. If you go outside and it's raining really, really hard, and somebody says it's raining cats and dogs, are you actually going to look up there and look for cats and dogs? No. It's just a saying. It's an idiom, okay? So they don't actually mean it's raining cats and dogs, but they're saying it's raining really, really hard, okay? So this can be confused sometimes with juxtaposition as well, but if you look at the context, if I'm explaining something, so if I'm comparing two things that are very different, like if I'm comparing rich people with poor people, it's to give a really dramatic effect and trying to draw your attention to the differences between the people, whereas an idiom is a saying that doesn't mean anything that you're saying. It's completely opposite. You have to understand the material that's being said in order to understand the idiom, okay? Okay, so back to what we had learned earlier with the quotes or the lyrics from Shawn Mendes' song. Let's think about some of the reasons why authors or writers would use these types of figurative language and literary devices. Why wouldn't they just come out and just say what they have to say? Even in our language, when we're speaking to people, you use these things every day without even realizing it. Okay? This is really interesting and fascinating to me. So we use this type of language regularly, not just when we're communicating one-on-one, not when we're just writing poems or reading stories. It is literally found everywhere you go. It is found in advertising. in political campaigns. It's found in video games. It's found on YouTube. It's found everywhere. You just don't realize it. So let's think about it. If you're watching, we just saw a bunch of ad campaigns, didn't we, for the president's campaigns. If you're watching something and they always end it with, this advertisement was paid for and sponsored by blah, 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 blah. They have to do that because a lot of times what is said in the campaigns are like an exaggerated form, right? Think about it. If you've watched these commercials, which I know all of you have recently, they might say something about their opponent. And instead of being something that they're trying to sell you on, it's a negative form. So we even have negative advertising that we watch all the time. We don't even realize it. Not just with the politics. If you think about it, you think about commercials where they talk about, this is the size of the Whopper, but this is the size of the Big Mac. They're comparing one company with another company. So they're trying to sell you on theirs, but they're really talking bad about this one, right? Same thing. So when we talk about a commercial, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Well, who's to say it's the best part? I don't even drink coffee. So for me, it's not the best part. Well, that's going to be a form of language that they're using to try and sell you on a product. Marketing uses slogans like this all the time. So we have to kind of analyze and look at this type of language. So now we're going to transition what we've just talked about into something really fun. I think you guys are going to like it. I made a video, and it's going to have little clips and lyrics from some of the modern songs that you guys listen to. And don't worry, I have every type of genre that I can think of for the most part. If there's something that I didn't include, please let me know. We'll try it in the next time we do something like this. Let me know the type of music you like, and I'll pull a clip from what you like. Okay, so we're going to, as a class, we're going to play the clip. If it's too short and too quick, I can play it again, so don't panic or worry. We don't have to write these down. We're going to discuss them. So we're going to play it, read it, because I have subtitles in English and subtitles in Spanish as well for our friends that need the little extra help. And then we're going to discuss it as a class. At the end, there's going to be 3 videos that we're going to keep off to the side, and I'm going to pair you off into groups, okay? And each group is then going to discuss the same 3 videos. We're going to play them up for the entire class, but then you're going to discuss it. We're not going to discuss it as a group, just as your collective small group, okay? And then we're going to come together and compare what everybody got. We're going to see if everybody got the same thing, because guess what? A lot of lyrics have more than one type of figurative language. It's really interesting to see how it goes from one to another. So you might hear something and see something that I don't see, and vice versa. And you might see something and say, well, wait a minute, miss, I'm confused. Is it this or is that? Okay? So then after we do the 3 videos, we're going to move on to something else fun, okay? So let's go ahead and play the video, and let's start to have a conversation, and let's see what you see. Okay? This is the part that I'll play the video, which I have supplied for you in length. I'm going to play probably 1 clip or 2 clips real quick and show you how to discuss that. And then from there, the kids will have a conversation. We'll make sure we're revisiting not just the new terms, but as well as the other terms that we're adding on to. And then I would break them up to groups. Okay, so this is after we've just played Kesha's song TikTok. We would have a conversation. This one should be fairly simple for you guys. It's a very straightforward, in my opinion, song lyric. What do you guys think it is? Right. She said it over and over again. TikTok. TikTok. Right? What is that? What kind of literary device or figurative language is that? Right. It's an onomatopoeia, right? She's saying TikTok is not really words that we use regularly. They're words, though, to describe the sound that she wants it to make. And what would be the reason? Why is she even talking about a clock? Why is she just saying TikTok? What is the song about? You guys know the song. Right. Even if you didn't know the song, Even if you only knew the little bit of lyrics that I showed you. TikTok on the clock, but the party don't stop. She wants to keep partying, right? She wants to have fun. She's young. You guys are on the computer, you're playing video games. Your mom says bedtime, you're like, ugh, TikTok on the clock. I want to go to bed, right? Same thing. So when we see that, instead of just saying, "Oh, it's getting late. I don't want the party to end." Doesn't sound as good, right? In the song. So she turned it into TikTok. So let's go ahead and look at another video. And let's get your thoughts on that too, okay? Then we review another video.
I can make the bad guys good for a weekend, so it's gonna be forever. I can make the bad guys good for a weekend, so it's gonna be forever.
So this would be right after watching Taylor Swift's video of Blank Space. We would have a conversation about that one and the lyrics in that one. Okay, so what kind of words and language did you see in that video? Right? She repeated, it was really quick. So if I need to play it again, just let me know. You guys, I think you know this song pretty well. Right, she said, I can make a good guy bad. No? That's not what she said? What did she say? Oh, that's right. She said, I can make a bad guy good for the weekend. So what kind of figure of speech or literary device do you think this is? Make sure you're looking at your journals. You can look at some of the definitions that we have written down and some examples. Yeah, it's an oxymoron, right? Because think about it. If you've got a bad guy, he's a bad guy, can you make him good? Well, I mean, you can't make anybody do anything. So you really can't make him good. And you certainly can't make him good just for a weekend. No, he would be acting good, if anything. So it's an oxymoron, right? Comparing good and bad, complete opposites. But again, it's like jumbo shrimp. Can't be both at the same time, can they? Same with a good guy and a bad guy. Bad guy can be good sometimes. Good guy can be bad sometimes. But you're either one or the other, really, right? I mean, right. Okay. So what would be her point of saying that for the lyrics? What do you think she was trying to get at? And why wouldn't she say just what she was meaning to say? Why wouldn't she just come right out and say it? Yeah, she's just trying to say, she's attracted to him. She wants to date him. So she's like, you're not a bad guy. Come on. I can overlook that, right? You're not bad. You're a good guy. I can see through that. But really, she's just kind of fooling herself. Because by the end of the video, she's heartbroken and crazy. So I don't know if it's her or him. Maybe she's the bad girl trying to be a good girl. I don't know. But it causes you to think, right? So sometimes you analyze these words and sometimes you analyze content. You may not have a firm understanding of what the author's trying to convey, but it makes you think, makes you wonder. And that's the whole point of writing. That's the whole point. When somebody writes song lyrics, they want you to look at it and feel something. They want you to just think about it, dwell on it for a little bit. Same is true of a poem. Same is true of a story, of a movie. So all of this is going to help you later on. All right, let's go to the next video, okay? And then we will play the next video and have another conversation. This is the part where then I would separate them into small groups, probably about 3 or 4 to a group, depending on the size of the classroom, at which time I would make sure to pair them up in differentiating groups so that I have low-level learners with high-level learners to help facilitate any words or phrases that might not make sense or ones that are struggling. I would also make sure that I put non-native speakers with students that also have knowledge of the language so that they can help them. Thankfully, I have subtitles in Spanish. However, if I had students that are not Spanish speakers, I would have to make sure I create the video to include their language in subtitles so that they at least understand the content of what was on the board or on the video, so that during the discussion, they at least have some kind of basic information and knowledge. And then from there, I would want to make sure that the groups are able to have a smaller setting so that those that are a little more shy or a little more uncomfortable will have a setting that will allow them to have open conversations because they may not have wanted to participate in the large group setting. At which time I will walk around the classroom, make sure they're staying on task, that they're understanding what is expected of them and what they should be looking for prior to ending the video, or prior to even walking around. I would let them know, these are the focus points. These are the talking points I want you to have based on this video, based on what we discussed from our vocabulary. We will then make sure that the videos that we've reviewed, that they have a good understanding of prior to doing so. If at any point I need to rewind them so that they see it, the lyrics one more time, hear them one more time, that's not a problem. We can do that. Okay, guys, now that we're back in our own seats and we've had these conversations, you guys feel like you have a better understanding now of what we were learning? Yeah? So we've already reviewed the vocabulary we previously learned. We know that we have added 3 more vocabulary words to our list on figurative language and literary devices. Can I get anyone who has one of the 3 that we learned? Okay, yeah. We've learned oxymoron. Yep. How about another one? Right, we've got juxtaposition. And the last one, does anybody remember the last one? That's right, idiom. Idiom was the last one. Okay, so from here we would then review once again examples, the definitions, wrap it up, and then we would have once again some conversations about the intentions and purposes that the authors might have when using these and why they would actually want to use these. Okay, so if you guys remember in the video, we had Billie Eilish's lyrics, and didn't she say something about, what was it she said again? I can't remember. Do you guys remember? Oh yeah, what was she comparing? She compared pearly gates to picket fences. What did we say that was? What, when they're comparing and contrasting 2 very different things, what kind of literary device and figurative language is that? Juxtaposition, that's right. So she compared pearly gates to picket fences, remember? And the point of that was what? Yeah, she wanted to create this interesting effect. So if you're comparing pearly gates to picket fences, they're quite different. Because when I think about the pearly gates, they're big and massive and glorious, shiny and sparkling. When I think about a picket fence, I just think about, tiny little country bumpkin, white picket fence. It's cute. It's pretty. I wouldn't mind a white picket fence. But it's nothing like the gigantic pearly gates. Okay? And she did that. She created this image in your mind by doing that. Okay? So now that we've done all this, we had fun, we reviewed everything, we're going to go hop on to pull out your Chromebooks. Okay, pull out your Chromebooks. We're going to do a quizzes that I've created for you. All right? I know you guys like these. So pull out your tablets and your Google Chromebooks. We're going to do the quizzes, after which, if you finish early, I've got something for you guys who do it quickly. We're going to be doing this as a homework assignment. Okay? I'm going to give you a couple of days for this so you can take your time, because I know you guys love your music and I don't want you to just pick whatever willy-nilly, but you can find any kind of song lyric and you'll find some form of literary device. Even if you don't think you can, the title might even have a literary device. So I want you to start thinking, brainstorming. You're going to have homework. You get to choose song lyrics of your choice from a song that you like by an artist you like. There are some rules. Cannot have foul language, right? Cannot have any hate lyrics. And when I say hate, I mean it can't be racist, it can't be sexist. You guys know we've had these conversations. What is expected and what is not expected, okay? No foul language, no hate, okay? And then from there, you're going to write those lyrics down. You're going to give me a link so I can check it out later. And I want you to analyze the lyrics just like we did today. You're going to go through and you're going to tell me what kind of literary devices they used, what they meant by it, because a lot of times it doesn't even mean what it says. You can look at any, most rock songs. They don't make any sense at first. But when you look deeper at it, you're like, oh, that's what I meant. This is going to help you guys so much more down the road. You don't even realize. When you finally start learning Shakespeare, half the stuff he says is nothing like what it means. So, yeah, you think Shakespeare is boring. It really isn't. Not when you know how to analyze it and to look deeper into the information that's being provided, okay? So this is going to help you down the road. It's going to help you understand conversations better. what you read in magazines, what you see on the news. It's going to help you analyze a lot of things. Okay, so for those of you that finish early, you can start brainstorming, getting ideas of the songs you're going to choose and what you're going to be looking for. And for those of you that need a little more time, that's fine. You can take this quizzes home. You can finish it there. It's not a big deal. All right. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm right here. This is where the kids pull out their quizzes. I've provided you with a link for that as well, so you can look over that information. Okay, so for students who have other needs beyond what is provided, I do have the subtitles in both English and Spanish. If I did have a student that spoke another language, I would have to prepare the video with their language as well, which is not a problem. I'm more than happy to do that, so at least they understand the content material. For students who need additional time, I can also create a quizzes for them where they have more time to read the question and answer instead of just the 30 seconds. They could have more time, as well as they could have repetition of certain questions so that it's kind of ingrained a little bit easier, as well as more challenging questions for the students that might need that as well. Again, for my higher level learning students, if they are looking for a challenge or this seems to be too easy for them, I can give them as opposed to finding song lyrics, I can give them the challenge of trying to find it in an advertisement, whether it be a newspaper, magazine, on television, on YouTube, because then they have to search for it a little bit more and dig a little deeper. It might be a little more interesting to them and engaging for them. So the anticipatory set were the lyrics that were written on the board by an artist that they would know. We would analyze that, get them excited about literary devices being seen in places other than just in poems and in stories, and getting them to even look at songs in a different light because they truly are poems and stories written with a melody. The guided practice was then the video that was created, in which we, as a group, went over some of the information and reviewed not just older vocabulary terms and meanings, but also the new ones. And additionally, then taking what we knew and analyzing it to see the purpose, the intention, and the meaning behind it based on what we know. From there, the checking for understanding would be when I broke them off into small breakout groups and they got to review the information as a group. And then when they came together collectively, they all reviewed the same videos, but we would have a conversation discussion to see if they understood it in the same manner as their classmates, because they might see something that the other class or the other set did not, and vice versa. Then we would have the closure, which would review all the material that we had, also review the fact that it's seen in other places other than just in poems and stories, as well as how it might translate later in life. And then we would review the actual terms that were new to them that they added. Then the independent practice would be the quizzes. This would give me the feedback to see individually which student struggled with certain concepts and ideas. And then it would also give me a collectively as a class what I would need to reteach versus what they had a firm understanding on. The formal assessment would not come until later in the form of a test written evaluation of forms. But that would be later on after we've added some more information to it. And then the continuation would be the homework assignment in which they would go and find their own song lyrics and interpret them and find the figurative language on their own and bring it back for review. So I thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.